your girl Dishes with 3 C's. So today I'm going to be talking about the day I found out I was pregnant. So the day before I found out I was pregnant, I was getting really bad cramps. And so when I usually get my period, I have cramps, but they're not as bad. And so I thought I was going to get my period. So I was getting really bad cramps. And, but they were like, I still remember they were like hurting so bad, like tears were coming out of my eyes. And I told my husband, I was like, hey, I'm having really bad cramps. I think I'm getting my period. I have no pads, tomorrow I have to go buy pads and this and that. And so he was like, oh, well, okay. So we were going to sleep. And I got one cramp that was like so painful that I got up and I was like, whoa. I was like, wait, heck no, like this is not a cramp. And so I told my husband, I was like, no, they're hurting really bad. And he was like, oh, well, do you want to go to the hospital or something? And I was like, why am I going to go to the hospital for cramps? I was like, no. So I texted my sister and I was like, hey, I'm having really bad cramps. Like, what can I drink or something, to make them, like, not go away, but, like, calm down. And she was like, oh, well, when you get your period, they don't get that bad. She was like, well, yours don't. And I was like, well, I know. And she was like, are you pregnant? And I was like, no. I was like, I cannot be pregnant. I take birth control. I was like, I'm not pregnant. And she was like, well, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure. I'm not pregnant. And so she was like, oh, well, tomorrow in the morning, go to Walmart and get like a pregnancy test or something. And I was like, what's the point of going if I know I'm not pregnant? I was like, but anyways, I have to go to Walmart. Either way, I have to go get pads. And so I was like, she was like, well, take a Tylenol or something. So I took 2 Tylenols that night and I went to sleep. So the next morning I got up and I was like, well, my husband went to work and I got ready and I went to my mother-in-law's house. And I was there in the morning and then I was like, well, let me go to Walmart because she lives right close to, she lived close to Walmart. So I was like, let me go to Walmart. So I go to Walmart. And I went to go get pads, and then I go to the, I got some birth control, what the heck. I got a pregnancy test. And so I was either debating, like, whether to get it or not, because, like, in my head I was like, I'm not pregnant. I know I'm not. But I was like, I'm just going to get it either way. So I got it, and I go home, and I was sitting in the toilet. I remember I was in the bathroom. I was so scared. Like, I was so scared. And I was like, oh my god, like, why am I scared? I know I'm not pregnant. So I get the stick out or whatever and I pee on it. And it turns out positive. So I was like, what? I was like, no. I was like, no. I was like, no. So I was like, this can't be. So I start reading the box and I was like, what if I got like those fake ones, that are just for like joking or something? I was like, no, like, I know I'm not pregnant. I know I'm not. And so the box that I got, it was like 2 in 1. So I opened the other one and I pee on it too. And it turns out positive. So this moment I was like in tears. Like I was crying. I wasn't crying of happiness. I was crying more because I was scared. Like, I don't know why I was scared. I was like, I don't know. I was like scared. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was like, what the heck? Like, oh my god, like I'm pregnant. Like, no. And so I remember I texted my sister and I was like, dude, and she was like, you're pregnant. And I was like, yeah, I'm pregnant. She was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have another niece or nephew to spoil, blah blah. I was like, no. I was like, this is not a happy moment, like, no. And so I remember I went out of the bathroom and my mother-in-law was in the kitchen and she was like, why are you crying? And I was like, I'm pregnant. She was like, what? Oh my god, congratulations, blah blah blah. She was so happy. And then she was like, but why are you crying? I was like, because I don't know. She was like, what do you mean you don't know? You should be happy. And I was like, well, I don't know whether to be happy, whether to be scared. I was like, I don't know. But I feel like mostly I was crying because I was like, oh my gosh, what is my family gonna think of me? What are they gonna say? But I was like, I'm pregnant. Like, I'm pregnant. What the heck? I was like, I'm married, like, So either way, we were gonna have kids, but not yet. We were like gonna wait till I was like 25 or 23 or something. And so I remember I went to the room and I text Adrian and I told him, I was like, hey, we need to talk. And he was like, oh, well, call me. So I called him and I was like, I'm pregnant. And he was working, and he was like, what do you mean you're pregnant? And he thought I was kidding, because I think it was like 2-3 weeks before I found out I was pregnant. I called him and I was like, oh my god, babe, I'm pregnant. And he was like, what? But I was like, oh, I'm just kidding. So I was like, I'm pregnant. He was like, no, you're not. And I was like, yes, I am. And he was like, let me see. So I sent him a picture of both pregnancy tests. He was like, no, like, you're lying. Like, those aren't yours. And I was like, no, they're mine. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yes, I peed on them. And he was like, oh, well, we'll talk when I get home. And so I called my grandma and I told her, I was like, Grandma, I'm pregnant. She was so happy. And I was like, I felt more relieved once I heard that she was happy. So I was like, you know, okay, you know, she's happy. I should be happy too. And from that moment, my grandma was like, you're going to have a boy. I know you're having a boy. You're going to have a boy. And so in my family, there's mostly girls. There's a whole lot of girls, and there was only 5 boys, plus mine is only 6 boys. And so she was like, oh, you're gonna have a boy. I know it. I feel it. You're gonna have a boy. And I was like, well, I don't know yet. I was like, but let's just, like, you know, calm down a bit. And so she was like, have you called your mom and told her? And I was like, nope. And so at this moment, I wasn't really talking to my mom, but I texted her and I told her. She was just like, oh, congratulations. But she wasn't like happy, but she wasn't mad. She was just like more like, she was like she couldn't believe it. And my dad was happy. But yeah. And so once Adrian got home, he goes straight to the room and he was like, so you're pregnant? And I was like, yep, we're pregnant. And I showed him the oh, sorry, I'm feeding baby and he's falling asleep. I showed him the little pee sticks, the pregnancy test, and I showed him that they were both positive, and we were both like, we were sitting there just like staring at each other for heck long. We were just like, okay, so what are we gonna do, you know, blah blah blah, this and that. And I guess we were both just like, you know, in shock. Like at the moment we were in shock, but afterwards, you know, we both were happy and stuff. And like once the baby started moving and stuff, it was just like, you know, like we couldn't really believe it. But yeah. But at first, like when I found out I was pregnant, we had the conversation. You were like, you know, miscarriages can happen, and if it does, we were like planning on what we were gonna do and stuff like that. But yeah, thank God nothing happened during the pregnancy and the baby came out fine. And he's so cute. He looks just like his dad, sadly. He just has my cheeks. But yeah, he's sleeping right now. He's sleeping. But yeah, I'm not going to bother him anymore, because then he's going to wake up and he's not going to want to go to sleep again. But yeah, that was the end of this video. And so I don't know what my next video should be, so let me know in the comments below, and like and subscribe. See you guys next time. Bye. Crap.